What's going on? This is Ted. In this short video, I plan to explain some of the different ways that you can get sounds from your Motif into a Pro Tools session. As a bonus, I also plan to demonstrate how I can use my Motif as a remote for my Pro Tools sessions. Watch this. Okay, so I've already got a session started. A couple things need to happen inside your setup in order to make this function. Okay, so inside your beat clock, or your MIDI beat clock, and with the way that I've explained this, the way I'm explaining this is just what works for me. If a person has another way, or you have a different way that's making it work, do what works for you. But so inside I have my Yamaha. The Motif is actually activated or enabled so that it'll function. And so at this point, once I start the play in Pro Tools, it should start my Motif. Just to demonstrate, so what I got going on here, for my input here, I'm going into this digitally, all right? And then for this other track, I got this analog inside of my line 1, line 2, all right? And so I'm just demonstrating both ways. All right, you don't need to do both ways. However, as an option, that's there for a person. All right, so ordinarily, I would split the track, each of the sounds onto different tracks, but what I'm going to go ahead and just do it here without splitting it. Okay, so enable track to record, and then press start or on my inside Pro Tools. All right, so I didn't mention when I go ahead and record, I just block off a section because I'm catching from a pattern. So I just I have a 4-bar pattern, so I just allowed it to loop twice and record it that way. All right, so then this is the track that I recorded. All right, so if I went with digital, it's going to be the same effect, except it's recorded from the digital input. So nice, a lot cleaner signal. Digital is the preferred method of catching your audio. If you can do it digital, by all means, go that route. A couple things need to happen with recording from inside your Motif. Go to utility, and for your for what I'm doing, my MIDI in and out is controlled by USB. I got the keyboard. The Motif is plugged into my computer by USB cord. All right. The rest of the stuff is already like preset. All right, and that's that. All right, so from inside my pattern, I can play the tracks one at a time. And catch them that way. That'd be the best way to do it. So as an added bonus, I plan to show how I use my Motif as a remote for controlling Pro Tools. It works for a couple other DAWs, but I use Pro Tools. So, all right. So a couple things. I'm just explaining. This is what I do that works for me. If folks got another way, that's fine. All right. So going into setup, first I go into peripherals. All right. Inside peripherals, I select under synchronization. I select the Motif, and same thing underneath the generation port. I don't understand these settings exactly, but I'm just showing this is what works for me. All right, inside machine support, excuse me, inside machine control, enable this here. Make sure that the Motif is selected also. These numbers have to be different. This is just what I did here. I enabled this here, 127. This is ID 127. I don't even know what that means, but that's where I got it. All right. MIDI controllers. All right. So I selected HUI. All right, for a controller. All right, and then inside receive from, set this to this setting. And it's sent to Motif 1. All right, can't change, don't worry about that. And that's it for that. Select OK. Inside of, I make sure I have MIDI through activated. And then I should be set. All right, so inside of the Motif, assuming everything was done correctly, first of all, inside utility, trying to do this here. Go underneath the control tab, excuse me, remote. Select your DAW. I'm using Pro Tools, so alright, select Pro Tools. Alright, assuming all that was done correctly, when I push the remote button over here, the same names that I had for my tracks, I should see them abbreviated here. I can pick the mixer screen. And this is done from inside the Motif. Alright. Let's say, for instance, I'm looking at my faders. This first one is sounds. It corresponds with these numbers. If I'm moving this up and down, I get this. Okay. But I can move all my faders.